ago, I ran a survey to try to understand how people exercise when they go to the gym. Why do people do what they do? And so one interesting result I got out of it is that 60% of people admitted to not knowing at all why they were doing what they were doing. And by the way, about half of the 60% even admitted to copying whatever their neighbors were doing, so just so they don't look like a fool. And so for me, it's a question that I've been trying to answer for about 2 years now. And it's not an easy question because when it comes to exercise, there are so many activities, so many things you could be doing. So just within 1 mile from where I live, for example, there are about 279 businesses that I could go to, and many of them have a wide variety of classes and activities. And if I want to design my own exercise plan, well, here again, according to the American Council on Exercise, there's about 329 exercises or items in their library that I can choose from to design my own plan. And if I want to read about the subject, it doesn't always help. So here, for example, you have the same source, the New York Times, 2 articles. One of them telling you why cardio is best for you, and the other one explaining why strength is something you should be actually doing. So at the end of the day, I was left with the same question. And so my thinking here was, what if I were able to track my activities and my results, and from there maybe try to see if there's something that appears to be working best for me. So the first element in this tracking journey is the activities. And here it can be tricky because I cannot possibly try all types of physical activities in order to see which one is best for me and based on what. And so what I did here is I categorized them in 2 major types. So the first one is strength, and the second one is endurance. Why? Because they generally tend to fall in one category versus the other. And also because as humans, we generally tend to be better at one versus the other. So strength includes, for example, activities like weightlifting, body weight, sprint. And endurance includes activities like long distance running. And so what I did in this tracking journey, which started in March 2015, is I alternated between periods of strength and endurance. So the second element then in my tracking journey is the results. And here also it can be tricky because there's probably an unlimited number of results that can be associated with any type of exercise, right? It could be you sleep better, you eat better. So in this case, I tried to focus on one specific result, which is my own improvement, or whether or not I was actually getting better at whatever I was doing. Because psychologically, I realized that at the end of the day, that's what helped me stay on track and stay motivated. And the way I measured it in the case of strength is the amount of muscle mass that I was building, or not. And the metric is body fat ratio. In the case of endurance, so my activity was mostly long distance running, and the way I measured it is number of applications, like Strava, for example, and the metric was the time spent running the same distance, or personal record. And so in terms of results or tracking, so here you see a graph that represents 2 things. In the bottom is the body fat, and the other one is the lean mass. So during the times when I focused on strength training, so like here, for example, second quarter of 2015, my body fat ratio decreased from 29% to 25%, which was pretty encouraging after 3-4 months. And then as I alternated between strength and endurance, the same pattern of improvement repeated itself. Now, on the other hand, during the time when I focused on endurance training, my results did not improve after 1.5 years. So what I did as well is I also compared my results with the recent running history of the US population because it's public information. And so here again, it confirms that in longer distances or endurance, I tend to perform worse compared to the rest of the population than I do in shorter distances that are classified generally as strength. So all this, what does it mean? It means that strength is an activity that I think I tend to see improvement as opposed to endurance, where it's an activity that I might not be good at. Now the next question is, why? If this is true, then why? And is there a way I can probably double check or cross check this information? And so when it comes to exercise, performance or results, so there are a number of factors that can impact that. So it could be your environment, it could be also your genetics. So I decided to look at genetics. And more precisely, I looked at the latest product of 23andMe, the latest edition, which happens to have a report, one of their reports on exercise, in which tells you on what side of the spectrum, strength or endurance, you fall. And so the reason being is that our muscles are made of two types. So the first one is fast twitch, and second one is slow twitch. Endurance athletes tend to have more slow twitch muscle as opposed to strength ones who tend to have more fast twitch muscle. And the results confirmed here that I'm more likely to be on the strength side than on the endurance side. So it confirmed the previous experiment. So taking a step back, what I learned from this journey is that while the world of fitness advice can be complicated, it shouldn't necessarily be, because it's not about the latest fad, or it's not about what is being advertised to you or recommended, or whatever your neighbor is doing at the gym, unless they are similar to you. But it's mostly about yourself, and the key obviously is to simplify the tracking process. So in my case, for example, so I'm now less likely, I'd say, to be under the influence of whatever trend or product that is advertised to me, and I design a plan that I'm more and more following, which is composed of the activities that I like and that are 80% strength and 20% endurance. And so in conclusion, what I learned as well is that while we live in a world where we personalize pretty much everything, wellness or exercise is strangely one of these things that we don't really personalize much. It's pretty much a one-size-fits-all thing. So the question here is, what if someone were able to say to you, for example, that, let's say, within a 5-mile radius of where you live, 80% of the people who are similar to you have reacted better to this specific exercise plan. So wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't it lead to better outcomes? So with that, the next steps in my tracking journey are going to be more around visualization, and how visualization can impact behavior change, whether it's body shape or visualizing just a number. So with that, I'd like to thank you. My contact information is here, so if you have any questions or if you'd like to discuss any portion of the presentation, I'd be more than happy to chat. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's very personal. It depends on your goals. So that's why, in terms of results, I wanted to make sure that I'm clear about what results I'm talking about. So in my case, I mostly wanted to focus on what I'm good at, because that psychologically just helps me, stay on track and not give up. But yeah, another option would be to sort of balance whatever is, for example, not whatever shortcoming you might have by doing the opposite. Yeah. It depends on the results, in short, on your goals. Sorry, in short.
What do you hope to do with this
information? Like I was saying at the end, it's mostly about making sure that whatever time I'm allocating to exercise, I'm doing it in an efficient manner, as opposed to just doing probably random things that I'm not even sure why I'm doing that. So for me, that's the main goal, is making sure that I'm at least getting to an answer, or closer to an answer, when it comes to knowing what I'm doing and whether I'm spending the right time doing the right activities.
Do you track heart rate at all? I'm just curious, because after the endurance training, you can see improvement in time. But I wonder if you might have done the same move with at a lower heart rate, which would also be an indicator of fitness gain.
I did track it, but I did not analyze it. But I agree that, yeah, this is another data point to look at.
So is this more of a personal journey, or are we planning on changing the case of sharing information with people, or,
It's actually both. So it's a personal journey, but it's also a belief that I've built with time, and I'm hoping to transmit it also to people as well. So at least I'm in the process of that.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Laila.
Thank you.